In 2015, we left the rat race and went to the farm. We bought a 100-year-old farmhouse and 9 acres. After 3 years of extensive renovations, we can finally call ourselves College Hill Farm.
Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today we're picking okra. Well, today I'm going to pick okra. I have pretty well messed up this year with my okra. It didn't come up good, and I've let it go a little too long. A lot of my okra is just too big to get. For example, let me grab one here. A lot of my okra is big like this. And the way you tell if okra is okay to eat is you break the tip off. If you do this and the tip don't break, it's old fibrous stuff and you just can't eat them. In other words, it's gone to seed. Now this isn't ready for seed picking. I'll show you that when I get to it. This is just green okra. It needs to turn brown and dry out before you pick it for seed. But most of my okra is like this. Now, some of the okra, this is the size I like to get. Notice it in relation to your finger. Now this size might be good, but you got to test it. If this tip breaks off good and clean, then that okra is okay to eat. You see how that tip just broke right off? That okra is okay to eat. So now, the way I harvest okra is I just drive my golf cart right down beside the okra patch and harvest. So I'm going to set up and you can see how I harvest the okra. Let's talk about okra for a minute. Now, okra is one of those plants, if you follow nature, all plants in nature want to do is reproduce. That's what everything in nature wants to do. Humans, raccoons, whatever. Once they've reproduced, the adults are no longer necessary. You know, once the young have left the nest. Well, with plants, the young leave the nest when the seeds are dispersed. So, okra's no different. And right here is a good example of what I'm talking about. Let me get you off this tripod and I'll show you. See this plant right here? This is an okra plant. And right down in there are the great big okra. Well, up here at the top, there are no blooms. None. So, let's look down here. Here's a little okra plant beside him with no okra on it. Look at them blooms. And that's the deal. When an okra plant blooms, it's because it doesn't have a seed pod. So, I've got to get all these seed pods off these okra plants and make them bloom again. Here is another good example of a natural adaptation. Now, if you see this okra pod right here, that's a young tender pod. Watch how it snaps off. It just snaps right off of the okra plant. Now this pod is ready to be ready to have seed. Watch it. You can't pry it off. You have to cut that off. The reason being, the plant has invested so much energy in getting that fruit to seed. It doesn't want it removed until it's successful at producing seed. And it would produce seed successfully when this pod was completely dried up. Again, nature's adaptations fit to their advantage. For the record, I pretty well neglected this okra. I should have done better. But the truth is we had okra in the freezer and this wasn't high on my list of priorities. So I've got out here and harvested, and I've cut off all the extra seed pods. Now, this okra will start to bloom again. It'll bloom all over the place now that all these seed pods are off of it. Now I got about a gallon of okra usable for this picking. We put it up in quart bags. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. When I take this in to put up, I'll take it and wash it and just cut it up and put it in quart bags. What do we use okra for? Well, we use it for soups, stews, stir fries, Creole, etouffee, anything. We'll put it in a vegetable soup just as quick as we would put in a squash. So we'll get back and I'll show you how to put these away. Here we are in the kitchen. We're gonna process our okra. So I've got it here this is the bucket I harvested it in the field. It gives us about this much. I'm gonna get this over here in the sink, wash it good. You don't need me to show you how to wash okra. You just wash it good, make sure any of this little powdery stuff on them gets washed off. And then I'm going to cut them up and show you how we put them away. Okay, here we are back. I've got the okra washed, and this one's a little suspect to me, so I'm going to break this end off. And it didn't break clean, so I'm just going to hold off on that one. This one looks a little suspect too. Well, no, I broke the end off this one, so it's probably okay. If I just start, and I leave this part, toss it in the bucket. This one, okay. When I cut that, it felt a little fibrous. No, it's okay. So I'm going to cut it up. And this old nasty end goes back in the bucket. This one was too fibrous, so I'm just going to put it back in the bucket. Tip that end off there. The blossom end. Alright, and I'll just keep going until I get all these processed. Got my okra done. This is what it gave me, this little bowl full. Now, how do we put that up? Well, you just take a quart freezer bag, and I like to take a Sharpie and write on what's in the bag. Okra 2018. So we'll know what's in there. Now, okra's not like beans. You don't have to blanch it. It's not like other stuff that you have to blanch. We always blanch our broccoli. We don't blanch cauliflower, but we blanch our broccoli and we blanch beans. But okra, you don't have to do that. Okra's just fine to take and the reason I'm using a spoon and not my hand is not because of dirty or nasty. That's not my reason here. Okra has a natural ooze in it. Some people call it slime. And it makes your hands slimy. Now this 1 quart bag, and I mash it down till it fills the quart up, about 1 inch full all the way around. That's enough to go in a good stew. So that's the way I'll put that up. What I harvested today is probably going to give me a couple of bags. But now, okra is one of those things that day after tomorrow, there'll be just as much out there as there was today. And then the 2 days after that, there'll be just as much again. So if I get 2 quarts out of this okra today, then in 2 days I'll get 2 more quarts. In 2 days I'll get 2 more quarts. As long as I keep the okra picked off, it'll keep giving. So don't think that this okra is just, I'm just going to get 2 bags for the season. That's not what it is. It's going to come in 2 or 3 bags at a time all season long. And I'll get to a point that I've got all the okra I want in the freezer. I've still got okra from last year in the freezer. So this okra is not super important that we put up. We'll use the okra from last year first, and then we'll use this year's okra. So when this okra's put up, we use it in a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to go over that again. I told you how much. So I'm going to put the rest of this up. It looks like I'm only going to get about 2 quart bags. Remember, if you go out in your garden, you need to go out there every day. Because every day you don't go out in the garden, you lose food. I know I do. I've got a big enough garden that if I don't go out there every day, I lose food. Okay, on to the next thing. I'd like to thank you for visiting with us at College Hill Farm today. I hope you found our videos entertaining and or informative. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on both Facebook and YouTube. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.